So this is our reference book, Computer Organization Architecture, a Pearson edition, and also we have gone through the content for the GATE exam. Now we'll start with the point, that is machine instructions. Now, what is an instruction set? So the complete collection of instructions that are understood by CPU, that is processor. All these instructions are called as the instruction set. It depends on processor to processor which are the instructions allowed by the hardware. So all these instructions are called as the instruction set. So in order to get executed the particular instructions, it should be a part of instruction set, that is the compulsion. Now the different elements of the instructions are: first, opcode. Okay, you might have gone through the word mnemonic. That mnemonics are called as the opcodes. Mnemonics means symbolic representation of the operation. Okay, for computer it understands executive. For computer, that is processor, it understands machine language, executable language, or we can say in some terms assembly language, but the programmers write the program which is not in a machine code. So the programmer uses the symbolic representation of the operation, and these symbolic representations are called as the opcodes mnemonics. Then next we have source operand and result operand, that is source and destination, from where we have to get the values for the operations. So these operands are mentioned in the instruction also, as well as the next instruction reference. Every instruction is going to contain the next instruction reference, we can say. So which is the data structure that helps in getting the next instruction to be executed? Yes, any idea? Which is the data structure, which is the register that is responsible for getting the next instruction to be executed? This is very important point. Yes. Yes, Pranali, Mansi, and then Pratiksha. We have there is some registers like accumulator, then instruction pointer, or say program counter, and likewise. So which data structure, which register holds the address of the next instruction? Okay, so it is a program counter, it is the instruction pointer. You can say program counter or instruction pointer. So this particular holds the next instruction reference. Now, where have all these operands gone? So which are the locations where the values of the operands in operation are fetched? So the first location, from main memory, you can get the operand. Second, registers, which is the fastest memory, and then third one, IO devices. Okay, so from these three locations you will get the values for the operands, or you will get the operands from these three locations. Now the instruction cycle state diagram. So when we present the instruction to the processor, how it will be executed, which are the different states through which this instruction has to proceed, has to travel. So it starts with instruction address calculation. So you will visit first program counter. Okay, from program counter or instruction pointer you will get the address of the instruction. Then you will fetch that instruction at second state. Okay, I'm highlighting here with the pointer. Then at third state, instruction operation decoding. That means you will read the opcode. Okay, so you will decode your instruction, and after decoding it you will read the opcode, you will read the operands. Now compute the address of the first operand, either it is a source or a destination. If required, again you have to fetch the addresses of all the operands. So this is shown in terms of loop. So you will get all the addresses of all operands in an instruction. So right now you have operands with you, as well as the operation that will be carried out on these operands. Now perform the data operation. At this time, perform the data operation and again store the results to the respective operand fields. If you are going to store multiple results, again you have to store the results at multiple operand locations. Now you have to follow the same process for the next instruction. Again you will go to the instruction address calculation mechanism. You will fetch the next instruction, again decode it, get the operands, either single operand or multiple operands, perform the operation, again store the result to the operand destination or to the operand location. So this is the state diagram for instruction cycle. Now how instructions are represented. Okay, in machine code each instruction has a unique bit pattern. Every instruction is characterized by unique bit pattern. If the pattern changes, it means that it is going to be the new instruction. So what we talked about is this symbolic representation. Okay, so this symbolic representation I am highlighting here. So this symbolic representation is for the human consumption, and these are called as the mnemonics. So here these mnemonics are add, subtract, and load. But for processor, but for computer, these mnemonics are to be converted into binary form, and these binary numbers will correspond to the different operation. For sake, we can say 0 is representing add operation, 1 is representing subtraction, 2 is representing load, and so on. So this 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, these numbers are stored in a form of binary, and this binary bit pattern will represent the operation. Now operands can also be represented in this way. So A and B. So these are the operands. This is for human understanding. They are not understood by the processor. So this type of instruction, this is in a form of symbolic representation. This instruction needs to be converted into machine language. This is a simple format for the instruction. It contains 16 bits, out of which first 4 bits are reserved for opcode, the next 6 bit first operand, and the next 6 bit second operand. So these are the operand references. Now you can get the direct value at these locations, that is 6 bits, or you can get the address where the operand is stored, where the value of the operand is stored. Okay, so it is a 16-bit instruction format. Now there are different types of instruction: data processing, data storage. Data processing means arithmetic operation kind of instructions. Data storage, which are storing the data to the main memory. Okay, data movement, input output operations, and program flow control. These are the test and branch instructions. Program flow control, these are the test and branch instructions. Now the number of addresses in an instruction, it varies. Number of addresses of the operands in an instruction, it varies. Some instructions contain 0 addresses, some contain 1 address, 2 address, or 3 addresses. So these are the addresses of the operand. Now we are talking about the three addresses instruction type, in which there are 2 operands and 1 resultant. Okay, you can perform the operation using these 2 operands, and you can store the result. So here there are 3 addresses, such that, example, A is equal to B plus C. So A, B, C, these are the operands. We can say these are the addresses of the operands. These are the names, symbolic names. Now such kind of instructions are very long, because the number of addresses involved here are more as compared to our normal instructions. So these instructions are long in length. Now next one is the 2 addresses instructions. One address doubles as operand and result. That means one will act as the operand as well as the result. So A is equal to A plus B. So A is repeated twice. It is acting as the input as well as it is acting as the output. A is equal to A plus B. It reduces the length of the instruction because we have reduced one address field. That's why the length of the instruction will be reduced, but it requires some extra work. That is the temporary storage to hold the some results. So temporarily A is equal to A plus B. So you will temporarily store this addition result, and later on you can transfer this temporary value to the A. One address. In case of one address field, the second address is implicit. Usually it is a accumulator register. Accumulator register that will act as the implicit register in case of one address instructions. And these are common in early machines. So these are the examples. Fair, just see here. We'll take example here. So program to execute y is equal to a minus b divided by c plus d star e. So we are performing here arithmetic operation that involves multiple operations: addition, subtraction, division, multiplication. So here we start in case of 3 address instruction. So you will compute the subtraction first. Okay, here. So subtraction y a b, what it means? Perform the subtraction of a and b and store it to the y. So how many addresses are involved? 3 addresses are involved: y, a and b. These are acting as the operands. That means they are the operand addresses. Now once you perform the subtraction, then you compute the multiplication. So d into e, it is stored in t. T act as a temporary storage. Okay, so t temporary storage. Then you will compute t is equal to t plus c. Right, see here we are computing now denominator. Okay, we have computed numerator. Numerator is stored in y. Now we are computing the denominator. Out of them we performed b multiplied by e, and it is stored in t. And now this temporary value will be added to c. That is the third operation. And later on you will compute the final operation, that is y is equal to y divided by t. So this is 3 address instruction. Okay, as it involves 3 addresses, so the length of the instruction will be very large. Now convert this particular program into 2 address instruction. So now at lower rectangle we have to use 2 address instructions. So now what we have done here, just check it now one by one. So we first transfer a operand into y. Now y is equal to y minus b. Y is currently holding a. So this second instruction, it will hold the subtraction. Now you have temporarily transferred d into t. Okay, as we are talking about 2 address instructions, that's why we have first transferred a into y, and now this y is repeated. Y is equal to y minus b. So y is acting as input as well as output. That's why we have reduced the operand count here by 1. See here in case of 3 address instruction, y is equal to a minus b. So all 3 operands are unique. But now here y is equal to y minus b, 1 operand is repeated. Because of this one, we require just 2 addresses. So now next, t is equal to d. That we again transfer d into t, and now we perform the multiplication. T is equal to t multiplied by e. Okay, again it is the 2 address instruction. So now you have inside t the multiplication value. Now this multiplication value is added to c. So up to this step here, up to this step you have computed both denominator and numerator such that y contains the numerator and t contains the denominator. What is t? T, it is the addition of c with multiplication of D and E. Now next, we have to transfer now the feasible difference between these two, it is here. So if you use the to address instruction, the program is lengthy, but the size of the instruction is less as compared to this one. Okay, because it involves 3 addresses and here it involves 2 addresses, but because of this one the program length increases. Now again we are reducing the instruction size by means of having one address instruction. Okay, in an instruction we are just mentioning single address, so again the size of the instruction will be reduced. So automatically in case of one address instruction, the default register will act as a accumulator. AC. So AC is the register. Whenever we do not mention the second operand, by default we can take second operand as an accumulator. So whenever you say here load D, how many operands are involved? Just single operand, that is D. So by default we are loading D value fair into second location, and that second location is by default accumulator. So there is no need of mentioning the second operand field. So now you perform storing of D into accumulator. Now next task, MPY-E. MPY stands for multiply. So multiply E. With whom? With the content from the accumulator. So again, AC is equal to AC multiplied by E. So how many operands are involved? Again, the new operand is E. So this is again single address instruction. We have used accumulator, which is the default register. Now next one, add C. Okay, add C. So the meaning of add C is add the content of C to the accumulator. And what accumulator contains? Accumulator contains the multiplication of D and E. Okay, so we have now here the sequence of the operations is different. We have performed subtraction first, then multiplication, then addition, and now here we are performing different kind of sequences. So first we store D into AC, then we perform multiplication, and then we perform addition. Why this is the sequence? Because we are choosing one address instruction format. Now next we have multiplication as well as now addition. That means we computed now, up till now we have computed the denominator part. Now what next? Okay, now you store this result into Y. So up to this point we have computed the denominator, and denominator value is stored in Y operand. Now next we will compute the numerator. So again transfer content of A into accumulator. Now the subtraction of AC minus B, it is in return the subtraction of A and B, because AC contains A. Now next, now in accumulator you have numerator. Okay, and where do you have denominator? Yes, right now in accumulator you have numerator, and where is your denominator now? Yes, tell me. Where is your denominator? You can write in a chat box or you can answer me orally. Yes, do it fast. Okay, so right now our denominator we have stored here in Y. So already Y contains the denominator, and now accumulator contains the numerator. So now perform the next operation, that is AC is equal to AC divided by Y. So AC contains numerator, Y contains denominator, and its division is stored in AC. And now again you transfer the content of AC into Y. So this is how we have computed this operation, that is Y is equal to A minus B divided by C plus D into E. But this is using one address instruction format. So this is how it will work. Now next point, we have types of operations. Okay, so where we have started with the machine instruction. So it contains mnemonics and then operands. Mnemonic means opcode, and then operands. Operands might be taking 3 addresses, 2 addresses, 1 address. In some cases it is 0 address also. Okay, do you have any idea in case of 0 addresses which is the location where we will get the operands? If we say it is the 0 address instruction, then where do we get the operands from? In this case, the operands are collected from the stack. Okay, so we have the system provided data structure, that is the stack. That stack will be used to act as the operand locations. In that case, it is called as a 0 address instruction, because we don't need to provide the address. By default, the stack will be used as the operand location. So there is no necessity for providing the address of the operand. By default, it will treat stack as the operand location. Now, after seeing the different addressing formats, now we are through types of operations. So the operations are data transfer, arithmetic, logical, conversion, IO, system control, and transfer of control. So data transfer, we have to specify source, destination, and the amount of data. Okay. Arithmetic, we have all arithmetic operations. It uses signed integer, floating point numbers. Okay, it may include increment, decrement, negation. So these are the different arithmetic operations. Then shift operators, shift and rotate operations. These are for logical operations also, logical right shift, logical left shift. Okay, see here. So you can go through these operations. Logical right shift here. So what is logical right shift? You are shifting this 0 to the right. Okay, now in case of arithmetic right shift, okay, whatever the sign bit, that sign bit will be shifted. Okay, so we have to maintain the sign bit, but in case of logical shifting, 0 will be shifted, 0 will be used to shift the values. In case of again left shift, so this 0 is added. Okay, and then so on. Next logical operations are bitwise operations and or not. Transfer of control, these are the branch instructions. Skip instructions, example is branch to X if result is 0. Okay, and ISZ means if 0. Increment and skip if 0. Okay, increment and skip if 0. So this is the abbreviation ISZ. So these are under transfer of a control. So we have different types of operations. Then again conversion operations, binary to decimal. Okay. And this is a sample, we can say stack frame using sample procedures P and Q. Suppose we have two procedures P and Q. Now if P is active, in that case what is the content of P? It starts with the first entry in the, this is called as the stack frame. The first entry in the stack frame is always the return point. Okay, so whenever you complete the procedure execution, at which location you should return, so this is called as the return point. So once you execute the procedure P, okay, then you will return to the location from where P procedure has been called, and this location is stored as the first entry in the stack frame of P. Right now P is active. Now later on, whenever you start executing, P has made a call to Q. So this is diagram B. Okay, so P has made a call to Q. So P has called Q. So what will be the content of the stack frame? Already the return point, then old frame pointer, okay, then x1 and x2, these are the local variables of procedure P. Already they are mentioned here, x1 and x2, these are the local variables of local parameters of P procedure. Then return point, okay, then return point, this is return point for the Q. That means once Q procedure is executed, where it will return? It will return from where it has been called. So it will return, we can say, to the P. It will return to the, we can say, P's starting location. Okay, or we can say the location from where this particular Q operation, Q procedure is called. So it will be somewhere in a memory. Okay. Now, what is y1 and y2? Y1 and y2 are the local parameters of the Q procedure, and this is a stack pointer. Whenever you have to add the data, again you have to add the data here, and you will increment the stack pointer and so on. Now suppose if your Q procedure makes a call to another procedure, then again you will make an entry here, you will again make an entry here that contains first point as a return pointer from where the function has been called by Q. Okay, so this return pointer, and then old frame pointer, and then later on the local parameters. So this is the stack frame in case of if you are using multiple procedure calls. So all these points were related with the machine instructions. We have seen what is the format, then state diagram, address, different addresses in a instruction, and then different operations, different types of operations. Those can be performed using instruction. Now next point we are going to see is different addressing modes. So see here, we have the first point, machine instructions, and then addressing modes. So we will now see the addressing modes. Okay, so there are different addressing modes ranging from immediate, direct, indirect, register, register indirect, displacement, and stack. So from their name itself, you will came to know what these address modes are. So first, immediate means you will get the operand immediately inside the instruction itself. So you don't require to go anywhere else. So whatever operand you are using, that operand is available in instruction itself. Okay, so operand is a part of instruction. It is a part of instruction. Operand is equal to directly address field. So example, take an example, add 5. Okay, so what you want to perform? Addition. Which is the first operand? 5. What will be the second operand? Any guesses? What will be the second operand? First operand is 5. Now you want to add this 5 to which operand? The second operand is the accumulator. Second operand is the accumulator. So you will add the content of the accumulator to the 5. So this kind of addressing is called as an immediate, because in instruction itself you will get the operand. So 5 is the operand. No memory references to fetch data. It is very fast, but it is having limited range of the addresses. So it is having very limited range. This is called as the immediate. Diagrammatically it is shown here. Okay, so we have the two fields in instruction. First one is the opcode and then operand. Okay, so see here, add is the opcode and phi is operand. Now next type of addressing mode, it is the direct addressing. Address field contains address of a operand. So every instruction, see here. So this opcode means the operation, and this operand field, it is called as the address field. So you can have 3 addresses, 2 addresses, 1 address, 0 address. So the address field depends on the integer, for depends on the, we can say, bit pattern. So bit pattern will decide, the bit patterns in an instruction will decide whether it is the three address instruction, 2 address, 1 address, or 0 address. And these addresses are nothing but the addresses of the operands. In order to perform operation, you will require operands, and these operands are directly part of instruction, or they can be indirectly part of instruction by means of just mentioning its addresses. Now next type is direct addressing. This address field contains address of an operand. Now what is effective address? Effective address is the address at which you will get the value of an operand. That is called as the effective address. Now in case of our previous example, in case of immediate addressing mode, which is the effective address? The effective address is instruction itself, because we are getting the operand value in an instruction itself. So here effective address will be instruction itself. But in case of the direct addressing mode, the effective address is equal to address field A. So example, add A. I want to perform addition. What is the first operand? A. What is the second operand? It is stored in accumulator. Whenever the single address is made available, automatically the second operand will be available in accumulator. So now this A is going to be the address of the operand. Okay, A is going to be the address of a operand. So see here, add contents of cell A to accumulator. What is cell A? Cell A is nothing but it is the address of a operand. Okay, diagrammatically it will be more clear. Just see here. Okay, so opcode and then address A. Now I will navigate to address A, and the address A, it points to some memory location where the operand is stored. So the address of this operand, okay, so address of this operand is available inside instruction, and this is called as a direct addressing mode. The instruction contains the address of the operand. Now next, indirect addressing. So it is a pointer concept. So whatever content inside the instruction, it is again the location, okay, where the address of an operand is stored. So it is like a pointer concept. Okay, so see here diagram. Okay, so here it is indirect addressing mode, because whatever address available inside the instruction, this address is nothing but it is the pointer to the operand. And now by means of following this pointer, you will get the actual operand at this location. Okay, so whatever you have in address, this is the address inside instruction. If you follow this address, you will get the location in memory, and at this memory you will get the pointer to the operand. Following this pointer, you will get the content of an operand here. So this is indirect addressing. In case of direct addressing, at this location, at location A itself, you will get the operand. In case of indirect addressing, at location A, you will get the pointer to operand, and following this pointer, you will get the actual value. This is indirect addressing mode. Now next one, register addressing. This is very simple. Okay, operand is held in register named in address field. Okay, so immediately you can say effective address is equal to R. What is R? R is a register. Effective address means the location at which you will get the value of operand. Okay, so what is the effective address here? That is nothing but the content of R. R is the register. We have limited number of registers. Okay, so this is again limitation. So it is a very small address field needed, as well as the instructions will be shorter and the faster instruction fetch. Why the instruction fetch is faster? Because the instruction requires the operands, and these operands are stored in register. These operands are stored in the registers. Okay, these operands are stored in the registers, and register memory is the fastest memory. So see here the diagram. Okay. So we have the registers. We have the registers here. Previously we have the memory. Previously we have the memory, but now here we have the registers, and registers are the fastest type of memory. Using register address mode, the address of the operand is held by the register. Okay, so R register holds operand address. We get the content of R, and we will navigate to this R, and at this R register you will get the operand. So we have this set of registers, so 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. So out of this all registers, the R register contains the operand. Now next one, register indirect addressing. Okay, that means whatever the content of register, this content is going to be the pointer to the operand. Inside register you will not get the operand. Inside register you will get the address of operand. Very simple. So it is the register indirect. Okay, from diagrammatically see here. Okay, so inside register you will get the pointer to the operand. Previously in register we get direct operand, but now here in register you will get the address of operand, that is pointer, and again this pointer is pointing to some memory location. Okay. So this is the concept called as a register indirect addressing. Now next one is the displacement addressing. How we are computing the effective address? So we are computing effective address by means of A plus R. Okay, so we can say A is the address. Okay, and in that address we will add the content of the R in order to get the effective address. Okay. So this A is called as a base value, or R can act as a offset. So R is a register that holds the displacement, or you can say vice versa. Vice versa means register will contain the base address value, and the A address field, that is address field, will contain the offset. So you can interchange these one. R can hold the base value and A can hold the displacement. So diagrammatically see here. So it is the type where we use the displacement addressing. There are 3 fields in an instruction: opcode, then register R, and then address A. Okay, so address A will act as a base address, and then inside register R you will get the pointer to operand. That means it is acting as the offset. So you will add offset to the base address in order to get the effective address. Effective address is the address. From here you will get the operand. How you get this effective address? Effective address will be generated such that the base address is stored either in A or in R, and then the offset is stored in here in pointer field, or it can be in address A field. You can interchange these things. Okay, so I repeat it again. We get operation here. Register A, it holds the offset. So go to register R. At register R, you will get the offset, the value that will be added to the base address, that is called as the offset. Now this offset is added with base value, and now the base value is held by address A field. So base value plus offset, you will get effective address. Now next one, relative addressing. Again, it is a version of displacement addressing, but instead of using register, we will use the program counter. Instead of using any other registers, you will directly use the program counter. What is the program counter? Program counter is the register which holds the address of the next instruction to be executed. Now, whenever we add some value to this program counter, okay, so it is relative addressing. So relative to the program counter, I want to advance to this particular location. So program counters contain suppose 100. I can say 100 plus 10. So A is equal to 10 and PC is equal to 100. That means I want to go to the 10th location relative to program counter. Okay, program counter is pointing to 100, and I want to access the memory location which is 10 bytes from the program counter, that is 110. This concept is called as the locality of reference. Then we have next type of addressing, base register address. Okay, A means address A field. A holds displacement. R holds pointer to base address, and this R may be explicit or implicit. That means register we are going to use for storing base address. Very simple. Okay, we are using the registers to store the base addresses, and A will hold the displacement. The next one, indexed addressing. Okay, so it is reversed now. A is containing the base and R is containing the displacement. Previously, A is containing the displacement and R is containing the base. Now we have reversed it. A is containing the base, okay, and R is containing the displacement. So such kind of indexed addressing is used for accessing arrays. Okay, so to access the array elements, we use the indexed addressing mode. Okay, for example, take here EA, that is effective address, is equal to A plus R. What is A? A is the base address, plus R. R is the displacement. So what is A? It is the base address of the array. That is, we can say the first element of an array, it is called as the base address. Address of the first element, it is called as the base address. Plus, I want to access, suppose, fourth element. So I can say A plus 4. So that is, we are accessing the fourth element of an array. Such kind of addressing is called as the indexed addressing. Now next one is the stack addressing. Okay, so this is the concept called as the zero addressing, stack addressing. So the operand is implicitly on the top of stack. So there is no any explicit address required. Whenever we say push or pop, automatically it will perform the operation using stack top values, push and pop. So you can directly say push. Don't mention any operand address. Automatically, whatever the content of the accumulator, it will be pushed to the stack. So there is no need for mentioning the operand address. And this is called as a stack addressing. So, okay. So these were the different addressing modes that we have gone through. Just have a look once in a quick. We have different addressing modes: immediate, direct, indirect, register, indirect, displacement, and stack. In case of immediate, the operand is available in register. The operand is available in instruction. In case of direct, okay, in case of direct addressing, the address of the operand is available in instruction. Again, in indirect, the address mentioned in the instruction, it is going to be the pointer to the operand. Okay, so indirect make use of the pointer concept. Okay, so see here. So immediate, we have the operand available in instruction itself. In case of direct, whatever address field, that address field contains the address of operand. In case of indirect, this address field is containing the pointer to the operand. Okay, so address field A contains pointer to the operand. Register addressing, register holds the operand. In case of register addressing, register holds the operand. See here, we have used R register. This R register will hold the operand, and this is the set of registers available. Out of these registers, we have used R register to hold the operand. Now register indirect, whatever the content of register, it is going to be the pointer to the operand. Whatever the content of the register, it is the pointer to the operand. So it is register indirect. Displacement, so you have base address plus some displacement. This is called as a displacement addressing. So you can store the base address either in a register or in a address field or vice versa. Relative addressing, you are getting the relative position from current program counter. So relative to program counter location, relative to program counter position, you will get the next location where the operand is stored. Base register means register holds the pointer to the base address and A holds the displacement. Index addressing, it is used for accessing arrays. In case of indexed addressing, the base is stored in address field and displacement is stored in register. And in case of stack addressing, it is used for zero addressing instruction. So for example, push, pop, these are the instructions that uses stack. So there is no explicit address required for operand. So all these points were related to the concept called as the addressing modes, machine instructions and addressing modes. So next time we will go for arithmetic logical unit, data path and control unit. This particular concept is more logical. Whatever we have seen, it was more theoretical. Now the next content, ALU, data path and control unit. Meanwhile, I am going to suggest you the video lectures that are very useful from GATE point of view. You go through the YouTube where you will get the video lectures by Ravindra Raula. Okay, so you search on YouTube by Raula. We can say Ravindra Raula. Let me check. Ravindra Babu Raula. Okay, so you can say, so this is the instructor who has narrated all the subjects very nicely. Try to get these video lectures available to you. If anybody is having, share amongst yourself. So this is the very rich content for the GATE preparation. Ravindra Babu Raula, instructor, all subject video lectures. As well as the book I have referred here. This is best book for this subject. Okay, computer organization and architecture, designing for performance. Okay, so we'll stop here. Have a good day. We'll see you in next lecture.